Mark Tedford is asking District 1 voters for a promotion. His case rests heavily on his business experience and the record he has built since entering the Oklahoma House. That gives voters something more useful than campaign promises. He has already had a vote. He has voted on taxes, wages, education, private school subsidies, and insurance. So District 1 does not have to guess what kind of congressman he might be. We can start by looking at what he did when he already had a vote. Tedford did not create Oklahoma's economic model. He arrived after Republicans had already controlled state government for years. But he chose to continue that same broad strategy. From 2018 through 2023, inflation-adjusted median household income in Oklahoma grew only 3.2%, while the national figure grew 6.4%. Oklahoma families were moving forward, but at roughly half the national rate. That makes the central question simple. If Tedford says his Oklahoma record shows what he would bring to Washington, what did the policies he supported actually produce for Oklahoma families? Tedford's philosophy on wages is unusually clear. He requested an interim study on living wage laws and then argued that wage mandates can reduce hiring and hurt small businesses. He preferred workforce training, skills development, and market-driven wage growth instead. He said that when skilled workers earn above a living wage, market forces are working. That is a legitimate economic philosophy, but it creates a legitimate test. If the market-oriented strategy is working, where is the result in family income? Oklahoma's real median household income still lagged the nation. Tedford voted for HB 2764, which lowered Oklahoma's personal income tax rates and set the state on a triggered path toward zero income tax. For most families, the immediate benefit is modest. A household around the Oklahoma median would save about $143 a year. A household earning $25,000 would save about $21. Two-thirds of the initial benefit goes to the wealthiest 20%. A few $100s can matter to a family. Tedford has made that point himself. But that cannot be the end of the calculation. Don't just ask how much the tax cut saves. Ask what the family gains and what it loses in return. The larger issue is the tax shift. Eliminating the income tax does not eliminate the cost of government. Oklahoma would still have schools, roads, law enforcement, prisons, health programs, and other obligations. That means the burden eventually shifts elsewhere or services shrink. Oklahoma's tax system is already regressive. The lowest income fifth pays about 12.2% of income in state and local taxes, while the top 1% pays about 6.3%. For a family near the median, $143 matters. But so do schools, roads, health care, and qualified teachers. Tedford did not merely inherit Oklahoma's private school tax credit policy. He voted to create it. HB 1934 created the Oklahoma Parental Choice Tax Credit Act. The law says parents and guardians should be able to choose educational services for their individual children. Notice what it does not say. It does not promise stronger schools for all Oklahoma students. And Oklahoma voters never approved it in a statewide vote. Tedford voted for the original law in 2023 and then voted again in 2026 to expand it. 3 years of spending show who benefited. For 2026 through 2027, only 7.9% of approved students were reported as having attended public school the previous semester. More than 70% of approved dollars went to households above $75,000. About $104.1 million went to households above $150,000, and $53 million went to households above $250,000. The money was also concentrated geographically. More than 82% of matched top 100 school dollars went to Tulsa and Oklahoma counties, and roughly 92% went there plus nearby metro counties. While lawmakers were committing hundreds of millions of dollars through the private school tax credit, the public system still carried the load. Oklahoma public schools enrolled 686,718 students in 2025 through 2026. Depending on the ranking and methodology, Oklahoma remained between 48th and 50th in education. Emergency teaching certificates rose sharply from 3,780 in fiscal year 2022 to 4,923 in fiscal year 2024. They fell somewhat in 2025 but remained above the pre-2023 level. Public schools still educate the overwhelming majority of Oklahoma children. The timeline matters. In 2023, Tedford voted for HB 1934, creating the private school tax credit. In 2026, he voted for HB 3705, increasing the authorization to $275 million. By then, lawmakers had evidence about who was using the program and where the money was going. The first vote could be defended as believing the theory. The second vote came after Oklahoma had evidence about the results. There is also a financial contrast in the race itself. Through May 27, Tedford reported about $1.448 million in campaign receipts, and about $1.1 million of that, or 76%, came from loans he made to his own campaign. Croizon reported about $124,218 and no candidate loans. By June 30th, Tedford's self-loans had grown to about $1.3 million. There is nothing improper about that, but voters can fairly ask what economic perspective each candidate brings to the race. Tedford's background is in insurance, and that record cuts both ways. He has supported some consumer-oriented reforms, including stronger homeowner claim protections, but he also carried SB 726, and on the House floor he described it as a State Farm request bill. The House defeated it by a 72-18 vote. That is why voters should see both sides of the record. Expertise can help government understand an industry, but it can also make the relationship between industry and government especially important to examine. Tedford says his Oklahoma record qualifies him for Congress. District 1 voters should take him at his word and examine it. Oklahoma families did not get twice the national income growth. They got half. Public schools stayed near the bottom nationally. The private school tax credit did not primarily move children out of public schools. And the tax system is moving toward eliminating an income tax that gives typical families modest savings while eventually delivering very large gains at the top. The standard for District 1 is simple. Don't just ask how much the tax cut saves. Ask what the family gains and what it loses in return.